Hello everyone, this is Mrs. Pullen for lesson 1.01 on representing categorical data. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a side-by-side bar graph and a segmented bar graph based on a two-way table using the stapplet application. In the example we're going to look at superpower preference versus gender, where gender is going to be the explanatory variable located on the x-axis, and superpower preference is going to be the response variable located on the y-axis. The data you can find in the packet of your lesson, and stapplet, when we use it, considers the second variable, the explanatory variable, groups, and the response variable they're calling the categorical variable. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into a browser and you're going to enter stapplet, stapplet.com, and it's going to take you to this menu. And the option you're going to choose is categorical, since you're dealing with categorical data, and we have multiple groups, male versus female. So you're going to click on that, and you're going to recreate the two-way table. However, the columns and the rows are switched in this particular case because the explanatory variable is going to be the column headings with the way this program works. And the variable name is Superpower Preference. And you're going to enter the 5 categories. So it was fly, freeze time, hit the plus sign to enter additional categories, invisibility, hit the plus sign, then it's going to be super strength, and hit the plus sign, and you finally are going to enter telepathy. And now you actually start entering the data. So for the males, it's 28, 15, 10, and 7. And then for the females, it's 40, 28, 21, 5, and 31. And I just want to double check the numbers: 20, 28, 15, 10, and 7, 40, 28, 21, 5, and 31. Hit tab to get out of it, and you're going to hit begin analysis. So the default is the segmented bar graph, but I want you to start with the side-by-side bar graph. So click the drop-down menu and click side-by-side graph. And notice it gives you not only the bars and everything labeled, the relative frequency, can actually change that to frequency, but almost always you want the relative frequency. You can actually calculate, if you hover over the bars, they actually give you the conditional probability for each of the categories for each group. If you scroll down, they actually give you the summary statistics, and not only do they give you the original frequencies, they calculate the conditional probabilities for you as well. And you can double check if you ever wanted to calculate by hand. So like if you're trying to figure out the percentage of males who selected fly, that would be 20 out of 80, which is 25%. percentage of males who chose freeze time, 28 out of 80, which is 35%, and so forth. You could do the same thing for females. So there were 40 females out of 125 who chose fly, and that's 32%. 28 divided by 125 is 22.4%. And again, like if you hover over these values, you can see how that works. Notice whenever you do any kind of graph, you have to have an appropriate key. We're now going to look at the side-by-side graph. Segmented bar graph. It is also based on the same conditional distribution as the side-by-side graph. And notice if you hover over the bars, each segments of each bar, you have those same values. So again, male fly is the 25%, male freeze time is that 35%. For the females, you can see female fly is the 32%, female freeze time is the 22.4%. I really like segmented bar graphs because I feel that it really captures the similarities and differences. So we can see a lot more females selected, a higher percentage of females selected telepathy and fly versus the males. Seems most of the male participants selected freeze time. If we go ahead and go to question 8, what I did is I put those conditional percentages on the side-by-side graph and the segmented bar graph, just so it's easier for you to see. And I want you to respond to question 8. So question 8 asks, how do the bars in the side-by-side graphs compare to the segmented bar graphs? So put the video on hold and respond to that question. So basically, if you went ahead and you stacked the bars for the males, the 25%, the 35%, the 0.188, the 0.125, and the 0.088, that would sum to 100%, and that whole complete bar of the segmented bar graph. Likewise, for the females, if you stack these bars, you would get the 0.322, the 0.224, the 0.168, the 0.04, and the 0.248, and that would sum to the 100% for the females. So if you stack the male and female bars from the side-by-side graphs, the stack bars would form the segmented bar graphs. Is there an association between gender and superpower preference? If so, describe it. So put the video on hold and think about it. Two variables are associated if one variable can be related or has an effect on the other variable. And so in this particular case, based on the graph, we see an association between gender and superpower preference. If you're a male, you're more likely to choose super strength, or in this case, not just super strength, but let's go to the graph. Super strength, but I think they're more likely to choose freeze. If you're female, you were more likely to choose fly or telepathy as your preference. And so we would say that those two variables are associated. If number 10, if there was not an association between gender and superpower preference, what would the graphs look like? So put the video on hold and think about that. If there was no association, the heights of the bars would be the same for both genders for each superpower preference. Have a great day.